In the heart of Kingston, power never comes easy. Politics, poverty, and guns, they all walk hand in hand. But in the 1990s, certain names stood out above the rest. One such name was Zeeks. Born Donald Phipps, he was known to some as a protector, to others, a menace. But as everyone in Kingston knew, Zeeks ran his corner like a kingdom. The date of birth of Donald Zeeks Phipps is unclear, but he is suspected to have been born between 1957 and 1964. He was the de facto leader, or Don, of Matthews Lane and the Spanglers Gang in downtown Kingston. While extensive information is not available on his family life, Zeke's mother was known to be Leonie Cummings. He was the youngest of 3 brothers. His older brothers, Carl Phipps and Glenford Phipps, were also influential members of the community. Both, however, met their demise in separate tragic incidences in the 1970s. It is not certain whether anyone was charged for either of the crimes. He also had a known stepbrother, Victor Cummings, who was the People's National Party's candidate for Central Kingston in the early 2000s. It is alleged that Zeeks had fathered more than 10 children. Zeeks was known for being actively engaged in community welfare. He helped to maintain peace, for which then Prime Minister P.J. Patterson expressed gratitude. He also distributed money and provided job opportunities for community members. Donald Phipps was so respected by the residents that in 1998, when he was detained on suspicion of attempted murder, illegal possession of a firearm, and unlawful wounding, they began to riot and demand his release. Zeeks was in fact released from custody without being charged. The political parties of Jamaica has had deep roots and affiliations with the country's garrisons. This has been demonstrated in the rivalry between Zeeks and Matthews Lane, known People's National Party affiliates, and Tivoli Gardens, known Jamaica Labour Party affiliates. Politics is still linked to some elements of organized crime in Kingston. The contemporary Tivoli Gardens faction and their gang, the Shower Posse, was inherited by Christopher Dudas Koch after the death of his father, Lester Lloyd Koch, also known as Jim Brown. Koch was arrested, extradited, and convicted, and is currently serving a 23-year sentence in a federal prison in the United States. In 2004, Zeeks was arrested and subsequently charged by the police for illegal possession of ammunition and possession of and dealing in marijuana. Over 9 million Jamaican dollars, approximately 25 million Jamaican dollars today, including 43,000 US dollars, was found at a store he operated at Matthews Lane. Despite being greatly revered and admired, Zeeks was again arrested in May 2005 for the double murders of Rodney Farquharson and Datton Williams, also known as Scotch Brite. Court documents state that around 10 p.m. on April 14, 2005, Rodney was at home when he received an unexpected call on his cell phone. After the call, he got dressed and left the house. He was accompanied in a car by his neighbor, Scotch Brite. Neither of the men happened to return home. On April 15, 2005, at around 4 a.m., the bodies of Farquharson and Williams were found in a burning heap of tires on an open piece of land near Matthews Lane, West Kingston. Forensic evidence had showed that they met their end from multiple gunshot wounds before being burnt. Phipps was charged with the 2 murders, jointly with Garfield Williams. Both men were tried beginning on March 6, 2006. On March 23, 2006, at the end of the prosecution's case, Garfield Williams was discharged due to there being insufficient evidence to tie him to the case. The trial continued against Phipps alone, and on April 12, 2006, he was found guilty of 2 counts of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum term of 30 years. Phipps made an appeal against his life sentence, claiming that his trial was unfair, based in biases and prejudice. It was also argued that the manner in which his cell phone data was obtained was a violation of the Interception of Communication Act of 2002, and was therefore illegal and violated Phipps' constitutional rights. In 2010, it was dismissed by the Court of Appeal, and his conviction was upheld, meaning he must serve a minimum of 30 years before being eligible for parole. In 2012, after the People's National Party was voted back into power, Phipps renewed a claim to a monetary amount approximating 24 million Jamaican dollars, about 62 million Jamaican dollars today, that was seized from his home in Upper St. Andrew in May 2005. He claimed that the money was not acquired through criminal means. 6 weeks after the civil suit was filed, a consent order was made for the cash to be returned to him. The amount, which included 8.3 million Jamaican dollars, 152,185 US dollars, 19,020 British pounds, and 3,980 Canadian dollars, was returned to Phipps in 3 payments. Zeeks is currently serving his time in a correctional facility in Spanish Town, Jamaica. He had lawyers working to overturn his conviction with the belief that his rights were violated during his trial. Zeeks still has some influence in and around the Matthews Lane community. In the story of Jamaica's underworld, he remains a symbol of the thin line between power and survival. To some, he was a protector, a man who gave when the system didn't. To others, he was a criminal, the embodiment of a violent era. But one thing is certain, Donald Zeeks Phipps left his mark on Kingston's history, written in both fear and respect. And in the ever-changing streets of West Kingston, his name still echoes, quietly but never forgotten.